everyone. Welcome to the Handicap from me, Brent Graham. It's Thursday night, of course, 9 o'clock. Looking forward to the show. And there's a little bit of an echo on the line there. Not sure where that's coming from. We'll pick that up now, hopefully. But good to have you all on board. And last week, apologies to those of you who didn't watch the show live and you came on Friday about mid-morning onwards to see the show. And YouTube, there was a glitch in their system. They set a lot of the live shows from Thursday as private. So we were cruising. We had quite a lot of hits actually on the show. And then all of a sudden I noticed it stopped and YouTube had set it a private. So let's hope that doesn't happen this time around. Let's get straight into it and introduce the guests. And then we start at the top of the screen there, coming to us from Poland, of course, at the Crow Tips. And he's looking a little bit different. Certainly seen him this clean shaven in quite a while. Chris, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, I think I missed the Manscaped promo there by mistake. But yeah, finally got rid of some of that grooming in place. But I don't have a lucky beer this evening, so I do apologize for that. But I clean shaved, had a lucky shave to make up for it, and I got my magic water, so I think we're good.
Yeah, well, if you're a betting man, you'll be betting that the conductor's got something a lot stronger than water within his day tonight. Conductor, welcome back, mate. I know last week you were due to come on and the load shedding hit you, but you're in full force tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. Yeah, the electricity is burning brightly tonight, and always lucky to join you boys for Thursday nights. And yeah, not so much rugby this weekend. 11 games, 2 European games and 3 Currie Cup and some Super Rugby. So not heaps. So we can luckily concentrate a bit more on the games, and let's hopefully find some winners.
Yeah, certainly it's going to be a case of quantity over quality over quantity tonight. We don't have as many games to chat about. Welcome also to all the boys in the live chat. We've got Peter Ball and Mark Dunphy there as well. Mark, of course, you're still in Asia, so it's morning for you. So thanks for joining us and getting up to watch the show. Look forward to your contributions, guys. We'll get straight into the action. We've got Super Rugby Pacific to talk about. Just to mention, we'll also cover Currie Cup, and we've got the 2 European finals. So always good to have some finals rugby to chat about as well. But I'm going to start with you, Conductor, getting straight into things here. Crusaders minus 20.5 against the Reds. It's quite a big start that the Crusaders are giving the Reds there.
Yeah, Brent. Funny enough, this game in Christchurch between the Crusaders and the Reds brought back very good memories. I remember the previous fixture between the two teams in Christchurch was in 2020. I was flying down to Cape Town to Longabaan from Joburg, and I was in the slow lounge I'd had Reds that had halftime handicap on the plus, and I was trying to watch that till halftime, and by mistake I left it a bit late. I had to run for the plane. The pilot had to be contacted to open the doors, and they luckily had me on the airplane. But nevertheless, the Reds halftime handicap came in there nicely with some good tries by the Reds. But this is a tricky one. Leaning towards the Sailors and the minus. Just obviously missing Richie Mwanga. I think he's still nursing a head knock, and Goodhue, he's also resting. Just resting up for next week. Reds, this is obviously the permutations that now filter in on the sort of from 1 to 8. Reds, I think, currently sitting 7th, can possibly finish 5th, but probably unlikely to do so. Obviously, they'd probably want to try and win this game, maybe try and avoid Crusaders next week again in Christchurch, because obviously if they do stay where they are, they'll play the Crusaders again in Christchurch. So tough game. But Reds obviously limping across the finish line. Missing James O'Connor, Hunter Paisami, and Tanyela Tupou. Obviously a massive miss for them. It's not a terrible Red side. I do like Lawson Crichton. He's decent. Obviously Liam Wright on the bench. But Vunivalu and Filippo Ndongunu are the wing, and they've obviously shifted Jordi Patai to centre. This one, to me, I'm leaning on the minus. I like the points overs rather. I think we could see maybe a repeat of the Blues/Reds game where I don't think Reds will be. I think Reds will try and save themselves for next week. I don't think to put too much into this game. So I think we could see a lot of points there. For me, Crusaders have been like that diesel truck. Started slowly, but now they're absolutely revving. Really, they're putting some big results. I think they won by, I can't remember, it was 2 big wins in the last 3 games. So really revving up to sort of finals footy here. Willie Jordan back at 15. I very much like the overs there. I'll probably take a smaller Crusaders minus, but I think there's going to be good points in this game.
Right, let's see what Chris fancies in this one. The points line is 60.5. Chris?
Yeah, so for me initially, I was leaning. I thought it was a bit high, but I think now this is pretty well capped a game at the moment for both the cap and the points. I had the points at 57. It came out for me at 58, but I wasn't confident because it was on my lines. But I agree there's points in this game. So if I was to, I'm gonna probably start dabbling in the points. I was hoping for Reds at 17 points because that would have been my bet of the game. Reds to score over 17, but it's around 20, I think. I would say equally picked. I would take overs. Yeah, I wouldn't be playing the cap, and if overs on the total. And I do like Reds. I think Reds are going to get over 20. I agree with Conductor. I feel it's going to be like the Blues versus Reds game. The Reds aren't going to go away. Crusaders will give you opportunities. I see the Reds scoring tries here, so I'm leaning towards overs and Reds points here. Medium confidence at the moment. Also, Ben O'Keefe on the whistle. I like him as an overs ref. He lets the game flow nicely as well. There's no rain, so I think it's going to be points.
Right, points in that one. Say the lads. Quite a high points line there. I see. There was it Stephen Marks going. He took under 61.5 early in the week, so there's some support for the unders as well. Chris, we'll start with you then for the Fijian Drua game, plus 17.5 against the Chiefs. I'm going to tell you right now, the Drua and Mana Pacifica I've got wrong all season long. When these sides play, I almost just want to sit out. What do you make of this one? So 17.5. I mean, the Chiefs at their best you'd think would cover this cap, but what are the sort of motivation levels?
Well, I mean, they should be going for it, and they should be securing that fourth spot for home place, a quarterfinal, right? So I know there's been a mixed bags of Chiefs opinions this season. I've hit them at the right spots. They have made some changes. They've got Po Hippie there at centre. They've moved Nankivell to the wing. Doesn't disturb you too much around how it's going to go. I still think the Chiefs are going to be too powerful for them. I think the Drua it isn't Fiji, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be it's going to be an absolute carnival atmosphere again. It's going to be champagne rugby. The only problem is Mr. Pickerel is going to come and spoil the party if he feels like it. But I don't think he will, because I think this game is just going to be so open. I just don't think the Drua will be able to live with the Chiefs. The Chiefs will just they'll power over them. So I had a little bit of minus 15. I like that. I then moved out to minus 17. So I really love them at minus 15. 17 is getting closer. I capped it at 20, so I still like the Chiefs here. I think they go there, they do the business, they secure their fourth spot.
It's interesting you say that. I also capped this at, I think I capped it, Drua plus 21.5 in the good for the game forum there. Let's go to you, Conductor. The first thing I got to say is I see this is a 5 o'clock kickoff South African time. Will you be getting home around that time to watch or waking up early?
It's always nice knowing. I don't know what might happen. I'm maybe getting home, maybe wake up early. It's exciting. It's exciting not knowing. But there's a lot of interesting angles to this game, and I think Chris mentioned one of them. Obviously, Brendan Peckerell being the referee, and funny enough, I think he was the referee between. If I'm not mistaken, he was the referee between the Fijian Drua and the Highlanders, also in Suva. I stand to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure he was the referee there as well. Game taking place in Luatoko, second biggest city in Fiji. Brendan Peckerell, the ref. Sort of often kickoff. But checking the weather, it's going to be that typical island weather. There's like rain forecasts and also 85% humidity as well. So it's going to be incredibly humid. I mean, I watched the game between Fijian Drua and Highlanders, and within 20 minutes, the guys were drenched in sweat. You could basically see when they were packing down for the scrums, their jerseys were absolutely sopping wet. So, that's going to be an interesting game. I do very much agree with Chris. I'm not too worried about the Chiefs 10 to 15 being Bryn Gatlin, Nankivell, Pohipi, Narawa, and Caleb Trask. For me, it's 1 to 8 there. Gus the Bus, Somasoni Takaho, and Brody Retallick is back as well from his injury. I just don't think that Drua pack is going to be able to live with the Chiefs. Habossi is back for the Drua. He's their main strike weapon. So, I think that's definitely not a game for me. I'm going to get involved in up front. I'll wait for the game in play. Fiji and Drua will start off like a bag of cats at a greyhound meeting. They're actually going to be all over the show. They're going to want to run in front of their fans, but that 25 minutes in, they're going to be sacked. Humidity is going to be high. And then that's where I think the Chiefs packers is going to take full advantage. Bryn Gatton to the corner, driving mauls, etc. Chiefs just need to win out of this. So I'm not massive on the handicap. I'll take a bit of minus there on the Chiefs. I'd like to look at the points total, but like I said, I'm not going to get involved. First up, I'll wait for the game to progress a little bit. I do expect a fast start from the Drua. They're going to want to score a couple of tries. If there's maybe a couple of early tries and push their points line out to about 68, 69, 70, I'll take the unders then. Like I said, I just expect that massive high humidity to take effect. I think in the Fijian Drua versus Highlanders game, I think the first half, there's around about 41, 42, 43 points scored in the first half. And I think there's only about 10 points scored in the second half. The under 53.5 landed in that game. So I expect something very similar. But like I said, I'd look at the minus here and look in play for a better Chiefs minus as well. Maybe a quick early draw. Then also look for unders in the points line with a Brendan Pickerel / high humidity combo there.
Yeah, I like that strategy there of hoping for the fast start and then getting on the unders points. Particularly, I always find that's the thing with humidity. It saps you over the course of the game, and guys can come out in the first 20 minutes are probably going to be the best conditions in the game. We'll stick with you, conductor. Moana Pacifica, of course, were in action against the Force on Tuesday. Got a bit badly beaten in the end there. I see they're big underdogs here against the Brumbies, plus 20.5.
Yeah, Brent, this is probably my strongest fancy of the weekend. Pacifica lost by 20 to the Force at Mount Smart. That I think tells you everything. Albeit that the Pacifica had heaps of changes, they've chopped and changed again for this game. Obviously, Leo Lefano is back at 10. Levi Amua is then retained at centre. He impresses me. He's one of the best carriers in the league so far for running meters. But there again, Brumbies coming with an extremely strong side. Look, they only need the win to secure the third spot. One could say they could ease off the throttle. I'm actually going to look at this the other way. They obviously lost in the dying minutes against the Blues with that drop goal. I think that broke a lot of people's hearts that had the Brumbies on the board. I think the Brumbies are coming to do the business. I think they want to start ramping up their efforts, looking for next week, possibly for a game against the Waratahs or whomever they're going to play in Canberra. I think this is a perfect game to get their structures correct, to get that rolling more. And I think if we saw anything from the Western Force Pacifica game, Pacifica, number one, don't have a set piece. And number two, they can't defend a rolling ball. So I'm going to be very big on the Brumbies minus here. I think they're going to actually thump them with rolling balls aplenty. I'll be going Brumbies tries overs, and I'll be going Brumbies Lonigan, and it's McInerney's other hooky as well. I'll be going both of them for tries. So love the Brumbies on the minus. This is my biggest fancy. I just feel, and it's unfortunate, Pacific have had a really awful schedule. But like I said, that Brumbies side is probably be the strongest possible, with exception of the Lucy, that really influential Lucy. I just can't remember his name, but really, really strong pack. And I just can't see this Pacifica pack living with them. So, but yeah, those are my bets there.
Almost stopped the show there to announce the fact that Mark Dunphy and the conductor agree on a bet there. So good to see that one. Let's go to Chris for his views on this game.
Yeah, obviously another preview that's hard to match there by conductor. Thanks, mate. But pretty much, rubber stamping that, everything that he says. Yeah, I mean, I do miss Valentini. I love that guy. He's a guy that you do notice when he's not in the team. He's that impactful, but that's not going to matter this week. I can't see how Pacifica can handle the Brumby structure set where they're not. They've proven all season they're not going to. I think it's going to be Brumbies are going to have pretty much when they get down in the red zone, they're going to be probably close to scoring. So minus handicap for sure. I was also waiting for Brumbies points. They'll clear their points line comfortably as well. So yeah, I think Pacific are in for a little bit of a shock. I think they're going to get a bit of a hide in.
Some nice alignment from the panel there on that game. Chris, we're going to stay with you for the next one. Waratahs here, minus 4.5 against the Blue. Is it minus 4.5? Is that correct?
Yeah,
it's changed massively.
Yes, it has changed a lot.
Has, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Seth, which I won't have a preview for this one because this was one of the games that I am annoyed I missed it when the Tars were plus, to be honest. At first I wasn't sure. I was hesitant, so I didn't put it because I still think Blues are going to potentially win this game, even with a changed side. So that's why I didn't pull the trigger. But if you had Tars at 3 now, you're like, you've missed the value there. So we missed it. I missed it anyway. So to be honest, it's still a game, and cap-wise, I'm not calling. I just think that Blues team still has great players in it. Tars are going to give them opportunities. They're going to both score points. It's a point-scoring game. I'll look at the points. I'll probably look more at the Tars points because I think because of the changes the Blues made, they're going to score tries, but they're going to let in tries. This Tars team is stable, and I don't think that's defense is going to be structured enough, and the Tars are going to get in for a few points. So I'm going to be looking at Tars points here when they come out.
Right, interesting. Geez, I didn't realize the handicap had shifted that much. Conductor, what do you think about that Waratahs points play? And you give the Blues a chance of winning the game.
Yeah, Brinty. I was actually, I was quite pleased about that Blues drop goal at the end against the Brumbies because I immediately knew they were going to rotate for this game. It was just a no-brainer, top of the log, nothing to play for. Caleb Clark has a hammy issue. Riku Ioane, a bit of an issue. His brother, also a bit of an issue. So a couple of niggles around the Blues camp, and I just really felt that the Blues would more than likely send a second-string side. They'd done enough to secure that number one spot and obviously start resting guys for the playoffs. So I managed to grab a bit of a Waratahs plus 4.5. An Aussie team as a favourites against a New Zealand team. I don't know if you can recall the Ghostbusters, the sound that car made when they were racing off to go and catch the ghost. It was like a screaming siren. This is like going off my head. It's a no bet for me. I can't take the Waratahs on the minus. It's just too dangerous. The Blues pack is still okay, and they've still got some really, really good players on the really good players on the bench for them. But obviously, Blues 9-15. Jock McKenzie, youngster, apparently a very good cricketer as well. He's at 10. AJ Lamb, I'm not too sure the guys at the centres. Ratavati Vukanikins at 14. So, some inexperience in that Blues backline. Leichhardt Oval is becoming a bit of a fortress for the Waratahs. I must admit, I'm so super impressed with Darren Coleman's coaching. I thought they showed incredible composure against the Highlanders last week to close out the game. We've seen so many Aussie sides just capitulate in that second half. So, I probably wouldn't touch a handicap there. I'd probably look at Blues Waratahs on the board in a multi of some sorts, and agree with Chris. Waratahs points. I just want to see the conditions of the Leichhardt Oval. It does tend to get a bit dark and dewy. I think we saw that in the gaming. It's the Hurricanes. It can get a bit moist.
Yeah, true.
So I'll have a look at the conditions first. But I do agree. If it's nice dry nights in Sydney, I do think the Waratahs will score a couple. I think the Blues kids will go there to have a good time, have an experience. I don't think there's too much weight on their shoulders. They know they've done their job. So I think there could be good points in this game as well. So Waratahs overs, Waratahs on the board, then probably overs. If we're in around 52, 53.5, I'd probably look at an overs. I think there's enough talent in that Blues side to score a couple of tries. And I think Darren Coleman's injected a lot of positivity in this Waratah side, and I'd like to take Charlie Gamble, the Miami porn star, to grab a bit of meat pie as well. He loves a try.
I do love that loose trio. The Tars one at the no Campbell, Hooper, Harris, they're brilliant.
Right, well, I just want to, just one thing I must say. You mentioned the New Zealand sort of youngsters coming to that backline. One thing that's always impressed me about the New Zealand is the way the youngsters slot straight into things.
Yeah.
Not to say that they are as strong as the other blue side, the top blue side, but just amazing how they've got that production line of players that seem to come in and hit the ground running. But let's go Western Force here, conductor plus 14.5 against the Hurricanes.
Yeah, Brent, this is to me, it's probably the trickiest fixture of the weekend. Look, I mean, Force are rubbish. I mean, they've taken some huge beatings about Kiwi sides. Hurricanes just need the win to secure their spot. They don't need to attain any bonus points. From what I've read this week, and from what I can remember, Western Force still have a possibility of reaching the top 8, but they need to beat the Hurricanes. And I just don't see it happening. Geordie Barrett's at home. Jason Holland also with the flu, I think, at home. So I think Chris Gibbs, the assistant coach of the Hurricanes, will take charge of this game in Perth for the Hurricanes. Decent enough side for them. Rayasi and Goosen on either wing. I think Sullivan and Proctor in the centres. And then, I think Ruben Love also, he's remained in New Zealand. Aidan Morgan's impressed me. Looks like a decent youngster. And then with Ardie Sevilla to come off the bench. A decent Hurricane side. I can see them doing the job here. But I'm just not too sure that they're going to cover this cap. I think the Force will be desperate to try and obviously, get into that top 8 and get a playoff spot. I actually, funny enough, Western Force have become, obviously we know them as possession merchants. But I think there might be a couple of points in this game as well. Force, if they do go down, they'll need to play a bit more risky rugby to try and get into that spot. So I think there might be some points in this game. I think Paul Williams is the referee as well. So if it's a lowish line, I'll probably take a bit overs. But the cap for me, I just don't. There's nothing that I can take in that cap. Like I said, Force at home, they'll be pumped. They've got opportunity to make the top 8. But there's nothing that really stands out for me too big there.
If I say gun to my head, I'd probably go Force on the handicap there, but maybe not a game I'm going to get too involved with. Just my daughter just popping in and giving me some raw choc chip cookie dough. I love it before it's cooked. And I said to her, I know I'm going to be on the show. And I said, you don't put that in the oven without bringing me some of the raw stuff. So she brought it in for me. I must say it's pretty good. Chris, what are your views on this game?
Yeah, this is a tricky one as well. Again, it is screaming points, and I agree. I think most people know my opinion on the Force these days. However, forever actually. But in this game, I agree. I mean, the Canes are there. I don't think they're going to progress much anyway if the Chiefs win above them. So the team they've brought, that backline doesn't look like it's going to defend, and the Force can score. So I'm loving points here, and my heart is pumping here because I'm going to say I actually really fancy the Force points here. I can't believe I've said it, but I have. But it's just because they're at home, they're all to play for, they do score points. I just don't think this Canes team is going to defend that well. They might score. I just don't like the structure of that backline. I think the Force are going to. They've got Pulu and Matalia are great wings. They do find space and score. So I'm hoping for an under 20 points line. That'll be actually one of my this is hard bets of the weekend.
This is really bad thing to get that out that he's Force have obviously heard it many times in the past. It's interesting you mentioned I can see you, Chris, you're leaning on overs on quite a few games.
Yeah, I'm liking points. This weekend's all points for me. The caps look tricky for me this round.
Yeah, and I must say it's something that I've always said. If you got the patience to wait for certain things, like for example, I say wait. When South African local rugby takes place, if you wait for winter to set in and the fields to get hard, then you can hit the bookies before they adjust. And the other thing is last rounds of tournaments as well. I mean, there's many a time where only one of the teams is really interested, and as you say, generally speaking, you get the thing thrown around a bit. So I'm in agreement with you this weekend. I also like the points there on quite a few of those games. But let's move on to the next game, Chris. We'll take you on this one first. It's Rebels plus 6.5 against the Highlanders.
Yeah.
Yo, I don't know. Tough one. This one for me.
Well, so as I said, this cap weekend on Super Rugby is very difficult for me. However, so like I said, I very much like Tars and Force points and Brambie's points. I really do. I'm going to look for when those lines come up. But here's the cap that I actually fancy the Rebels. Again, difficult. But just because Rebels at home, I mean, they have been improving. For me, they are a better side than the Force. I don't think the Highlanders are going to move. The Canes are going to win. The Highlanders aren't going to move from 8. Their mind's already on the Blues, in my mind. I think they're going to the Rebels. They're not going to be fully focused. They're going to preparing for. They know what's coming next weekend. This is Rebels' opportunity to end on a high. I like the Rebels here. Plus, I've seen it at +8 in places. I love that.
Right, plus 6.5. I must say, I handicapped this game. I'm just looking on the Good for the Game forum now, and there is a link down below to the forum thread. I have handicapped at plus 6.5, so I'm backing to see value here, conductor.
Yeah, Brent, so just going back to what Chris has said, I think, like you say, you need to wait on some things, not specifically, when I say that, specifically on this weekend, I think because of the way some of the results are sitting, let's talk specifically in the previous game, the Force Hurricanes. If the Hurricanes are sort of 2 scores over, the game is pretty much in the bag. All they need is a win. I can see really just sort of very open rugby being played, and I can very much see that in a couple of games, specifically maybe the Chiefs game. If they've got the win in the bag, I can see some very loose play because they don't really need to attain anything more. But it was interesting, Chris, struggling to get that Force 4 points over. It really looked like he didn't want to say anything. It looked like a male South African water polo coach at Catholic Confession. So very much battled to get that out there.
No, but I do believe it this weekend. I do really believe it. So
yeah,
one of my best bets.
So no, look, I really think there's going to be some games, some points. Specifically guys like Drew. They really haven't got much to play for. This is a very interesting game. Obviously, the last game of the weekend of Super Rugby. By this stage, Highlanders will know what they need to do. Like I said, if by some miracle the Force do beat the Hurricanes, I'll be all over the Highlanders minus here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I did read James Lenkeys was saying they were basically hitting each other at training this week regarding what happened against the Waratahs. Some fisticuffs going on there. Obviously, not the standard to which they adhere. Here to obviously took a loss against the Waratahs and getting back a couple of guys. I think Mekele Tu'u, he was missing, or he was on the bench in the previous game, was sick, or they're getting a couple of guys back for this week against the Rebels. I'd take Highlanders on the minus. I just can't have the Rebels. But Rebels got nothing to play for as well, so it makes them dangerous. So they might swing it around. And I hate to say it, but I like points overs again. Yeah, I just think if Highlanders know they've basically secured that 8th spot, they can't really do much else. And I think they're just gonna have a bit of fun. Rebels have nothing else to play for. I think they might have a bit of fun as well. And I think this, if I'm correct, this is also often a kickoff in Melbourne as well. So conditions should be good. Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit of split opinion, but once again, we find ourselves leaning to the points there. Let's get into the Currie Cup. Of course, the background ground I've got on there today is in Kimberley. It's breakfast ground. They are playing a home game. But first, let's get into the Bulls match, and we'll start with you, conductor. Bulls minus 12 against the Pumas. And I actually handicapped this game 12.5, but I did make the proviso, team news in these Currie Cup games can be crucial, especially with the URC teams. But I see this handicap very much where I set it. Any views here?
Yeah, Brent, so this handicaps I think is well set. I have looked at the Bulls' past wins, and it's been 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They've won in Currie Cup, but they haven't really cleared too many handicaps well. Good Bulls side. Stegman Khans, Marco Jans van Vieren, I think Mornay at 10, Ambrose at 9, if I'm not mistaken. Very Tam at 15, David Creel 14. Stian Kam at 6, Ruan for Mark, who they've just brought back from Japan. He's playing, I think, at 5. He's a really, really decent Bulls side. And obviously strongest Puma side they can put out. Bulls just 1 point ahead of the Cheetahs on the Currie Cup log. With one game to go after this, they play the Pumas and then travel down to Bloemfontein to play the Cheetahs. So my gut says Blue Bulls will want to take 5 points here. So the game against the Cheetahs and Bloom is basically a non-event. Pumas also need to try and get something out of this game because they need to try and catch the Griquas. But that Bull side just looks too strong for me. You can get minus 10.5 at about 75 to 100, which I'd be interested in. If you don't like that, the referee is Morris van der Westhuizen, who's obviously one of our bigger overs refs. So if we can get a line of around 57, which I imagine it will be, I'd probably look at the overs there if we're not interested in the handicap. It's an attacking Bull side, good, strong, powerful, and similarly a good Puma side. They can score a couple of points. A big one is Eddie Fischer shifting back to 12 with the 10. Sorry, I just can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
ex-Griquas, is that the ex-Griquas 10?
Yeah, that guy with the blonde
hair. De Beer, I think. Something like that.
Tennis De Beer, that's it, yes.
Tennis De Beer,
he's just back to 10. So, and he's a far better goal kicker than Eddie Fischer. Eddie Fischer sprays it like me off the first tee. It's like wide every time. So, no, he's a really decent 10, good boot. So, at altitude, 57.5. And if you can get in around there, I'd look at overs there.
Right, Chris, yourself on this game?
Well, yeah, if it's 57.5, I'm overs all over that. I'm not so sure it's going to be that, though. I really hope it is. I think they're going to be a little bit smarter than we are. The bookies are getting clever. But if we get 57, overs all day. And I probably will even look at Bulls points. I think they'll steamroll. They'll be strong. And so I don't know. If you're looking at the Bulls, probably going to get a Bulls line at 42 maybe or something. It's quite high. If we get 57 overs, definitely. If we're talking on the cap, I think they cover this cap as well. I think they win quite comfortably.
Well, let's go to the Griquas game now. We've got Griquas here up against the Free State Cheetahs. Griquas plus 10.5 in this game. They're never an easy side to play at home, Chris. It's handicap. Quick scores at what I capped this game at 9.5. Okay, so very similar to where I capped it. I'm also battling for the handicap value, and I'll probably find myself leaning towards the points again.
Look, I mean, I agree. The cap's well placed. I think the Cheetahs aren't doing as well as they have been recently, and the Griquas also just very hot, can be hot and cold. But at home, you trust the Griquas a lot more. So I think this is well capped, as you said, and you have to look at points. Currie Cup has been my kryptonite this year. The last Currie Cup, I couldn't miss an overs, like the whole Currie Cup. And this one, somehow, whichever one I'm taking, I'm not. So Currie Cup has been abysmal for me. So I've lost a little bit of interest in the betting because I've lost confidence that when I take the overs, it won't come anymore. So, but I'm an overs punter. I'll always look for the overs opportunity. So, and I'm not going to change strategy. When I able to get the points, which come up very like always an hour before.
But also, I think this also falls into the thing on the Currie Cup over the last two seasons with COVID and that. Sometimes you've had Currie Cup games in November. You've had Currie Cup games in February.
Yeah.
And now we're getting into winter, and where the fields are nice and hard. And you get great conditions. So I tend to think that now could be the time to start getting onto the Currie Cup overs. Let's see what the conductor's views are on that.
Yeah, Brent, I very much agree with you. We've seen, which is unlike Kimberley, it's been lush the early parts of the season. But like you say, the nights and the mornings in Kimberley are bitterly cold, icy cold, and definitely with that beautiful green English grass has now turned to that sort of half-felt yellow, and we have to sort of spray paint a bit of green to get to sort of looking a bit better. It's definitely going to be a lot harder. I've been burnt a lot of times by going Griquas overs in Kimberley because, like you say, you're always associated with a good running field, but I'd probably look at overs here. I agree with Chris. I think this is very well capped. I can't, looking at that cap, I can't lean either side. Griquas need this game, as do the Cheetahs. Like I said, Cheetahs are just 1 point behind the Bulls, and then play the Bulls in Bloemfontein next week. So they also don't want to have to get something out of that game to try and host the final or semis against the Bulls. So between the Bulls and the Cheetahs, the team will want to host that final, the Currie Cup. So, I see the Cheetahs winning here. They probably might take the bonus point. They'll be keen to take the bonus points. But we can look at a good line of. I'm hoping the bookies will do it at 56, 50. It'd probably be about 56, 57 again. My only concern is that still Jadazweni is the referee, and he does tend to lean towards the unders. He just takes so much time with the scrums and the lineouts, and he just and the clock ticks. Yeah. So it depends how much of old grandpa's cough mixture I've had by opposite 2 on Saturday afternoon. How involved I'm going to get in this game.
It's funny you say that about the unders ref. My son played rugby on Saturday morning. Conditions weren't great. But I tell you what, the ref, he was really a master of the 5-minute scrum. And after every scrum, he would talk to both front rows. Oh. And at one stage, I just fell on my back on the side of the field. I couldn't handle it anymore. But anyway, I actually shook his hand after the game. And someone said, but geez, you shook his hand. I said, yes, if this guy turns professional, I want to know. And I want to know that I'll be unders all the time if he makes it to the top of refereeing. That's for sure. But one more Currie Cup game to go as well. And that is... that is the Lions -8.5 against Western Province. Now, this is interesting. I did mention when I capped this game, look out for the Lions team. I believe they're going to be putting a strong side out. I'd initially made them +6.5, but I did say this will change if the Lions select their URC team, which I understand they either have done or are planning to do. Conductor?
Yeah, Brinty, so I assume, obviously, like you say, I think people would assume that the Golden Lions being out of the URC will now probably put a couple of the USC players or fringe players into this Currie Cup side. But I don't think so. I see Jordan Hendricks is off to the Sevens. Obviously, Berger Odendahl's off to Wasps. I think the USC guys are going to get a bit of a rest. There might be 1 or 2 fringe players in this Golden Lions side, but they've got nothing to play for. So I wouldn't understand the move of trying to put USC players in this Currie Cup team because literally they've got nothing to play for. The Western Province sort of B/C team that didn't travel overseas hasn't actually impressed me. I think they've still got good players in that side. So I like the +8.5, and I will be all over the points here. I know we've been talking overs like it's a flipping on repeat, but I'll be going huge. Both teams have got nothing to play for. I just see it absolutely spraying it everywhere. Zero defense. Just guys, a little game of Sunday touch rugby. The referee, I've never seen him before. I don't know. I can't even know. I saw his name. I just never seen him ref before, so I can't comment on his style.
But he's not the guy from my son's game on.
Maybe maybe you greased the right palms and he sort of protected himself into Currie Cup somehow. So no, I can't. As I said, it wouldn't help to tell you who it is because I don't know what his style is. But I think the guys are going to have a good time, and I think both the Lions and Province guys. Listen, let's play some exhibition rugby. So good weather in Joburg, like you say, nice and dry. Pitch a bit harder. Yeah, we should see some good points there.
Excellent. Well, we'll go to Chris now for his overs play.
Over and out. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I can't add more to that except I agree. It's gonna be overs, and I actually do really like Province on the plus. Yeah, I think Province are a team that's on the up, which I like. I do like trending teams that are gaining momentum. I think that it's quite a lot, quite generous.
Excellent. Well, that's the end of the Currie Cup. Of course, we'll sum up all the best bets shortly, but first we've got a bit of European rugby to play, and it's some big games, including Leinster up against La Rochelle in the Champions Cup. It's my daughter's 20th birthday this week, and she's invited about 70 people to a pub down the road from us on Saturday, and I'm pleased to report they've got a TV because they're going to definitely be showing the Leinster game, and then after that the Champions League final. The conductor, let's get your views. Actually, let's go to Chris. Sorry, Chris. We'll go to Chris here.
Okay.
So, Chris, 10.5 here, Leinster. I mean, I'll tell you what, straight up, I don't know. It's a tough catch. I did look at the 1 to 12.
What's that, Brent?
Okay.
Leinster, yeah.
I'm not going overs. Yeah.
No. So good. Yeah, news flag. Yeah, I'm not overs here either. Even though the last time that he's played in that semi last year, it was an overs game. I don't see that going this way. I think this is going to be a brutal physical game. I'm gonna be honest. Just looking at the matchup. Okay, Leinster, they've had a superb season. They've had a superb run into the final. You have to look at them that they are going to win this match. I do think they're going to win this match, but I don't think it's going to be one-way traffic. I think it's going to be a final. And La Rochelle are no mugs. They are not. They've been in the final. They're hungry for a win. The Ronan Ongara factor, you have to put that into play. Marseille is going to be apparently close to 30 degrees. So that's something that Leinster are going to have to cope with. And I think it's going to be, if they want to play that expansive game, they might run out of puff at some point. And this is just me being honest. I'm trying to read the game here. I think it's going to be a fast start. So for me, the 10 is not. I'm not going to Leinster minus 10. Put it that way. But I do think they'll win. So I'm I'm actually really liking the Leinster 1-12. I think I'm going to probably be having a few units on that. I do actually think La Rochelle in the game. They could win it, but I just think it's Leinster's time, and it's going to be a great brutal game. But I'm not going on the minus because it is a final. I think there are factors that La Rochelle is in France. It's going to be some atmosphere. So it's not, for me, it's not foregone conclusion. But Leinster, when they come together, they're brilliant, and they deserve to lift this trophy, and I actually hope they do.
Yeah, I'll be watching in the pub with a Leinster supporter, I can tell you. But it's funny you mentioned the 1-12 there, Chris. That was a bet I looked at just before the show. I went to look for a price. 15-10, the 1-12. I do like that Leinster 1-12 a fair amount. And let's see what the conductor's got for us here. No pressure here, conductor.
No, zero pressure. No, Brent. I think at 25 to 100, I think Leinster to win the game is a certainty, or for me, is a certainty to chuck into a multi. As a firm rule, I don't like touching handicaps in finals. Point being is if Leinster are leading by 8 points with 10 minutes to go, they may just try and shut the game down. There's no need to try and push it for additional points, etc. They were brutally impressive against a good Toulouse side, albeit that the game was in Ireland. You don't just put a Toulouse side like that away so comfortably. A big winning margin for Leinster there, and firing on all cylinders. That Conan van der Vlier and I just can't remember. Keelan Doris, Lustrio, brutally physical. Sexton, so full of experience. But to me, that Henshaw Ringrose centre combination, probably one of the best in the world. And James Lowe and Jimmy O'Brien on the wings, and Hugo Keenan also absolutely playing great rugby at 15. So, and in a very big front row. So, it's absolutely tough.
Conductor, I'm not sure if it was your intention, but you've just talked me into the minus.
Wait. I haven't finished my summation. So, no, as Chris says, obviously game in Marseille at Stade Velodrome is going to be very, very hot. I think even though the game, I think, will be kickoff at 4:45 French time, I think it is. It is going to be I think it's be around about 29, 30 degrees. Wayne Barnes on the whistle, who is an overs ref. But La Rochelle, obviously good defense, and similarly Leinster have got a very good defense. But the reason why I would probably, if I had to gun to my head, take the minus is no Kerbalo for La Rochelle. His combination with Ihaya West has probably been very crucial for the success of La Rochelle. So, new 9 coming in for La Rochelle in a final is always tough. Against a very settled and incredibly physical and very, very quick Leinster side. They are incredibly quick to those rucks. And if you can't keep pace, you can actually find yourself 21 points down very, very quickly. So, Leinster on the board for me. And at a push, I'll take the Leinster in the minus. But like I said, it depends how much Bayers Cliff Minotage from the pop suck I've had by that time. And I might delve into the bigger minus there.
Yes, so was Kerbalo always not in the side? Because that is a big one for me. I honestly thought he was, but he is massive.
He played in the semi, but as far as I can remember, he's out for the final. That was the news I read during the week.
That is big. Kerbalo
Yeah.
up against, like you said, that 9-10 axis, because that's Leinster's big strength. If I am worried if Kerbalo doesn't play, because he's a big player for them. That I have to relook at that, because I honestly thought he was playing, but if he's not, that's a few points there, I reckon.
Yeah, so that's a big loss for La Rochelle there. So I mean, he brings a lot of the experience. So I mean, I like I said, my knowledge of French rugby is not in depth to understand how good the La Rochelle reserve scrum half is going to be. But yeah, I mean, there's some very good players: Unio Antonio, Gregory Aldrift, Lates and is good. But Mark mentioned a very good point there. Leinster will want massive comeback for the fact that they lost to La Rochelle previously in the Champions Cup. This is payback time.
I think La Rochelle can drag them into dogfights. That's what I think. That's
well. The last time I watched, La Rochelle was so physical last time against Leinster.
It's great,
yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
No, if you look at Leinster and Ireland, and I mean they're virtually one and the same. The games where they battle is where they run into a hell of a physical pack. I mean, if you look at Ireland against France, and they didn't battle that much longer, and Leinster against La Rochelle. But I think, to me, this Leinster side have got, I don't know, they've stepped it up physically as well. And listening to you guys, I'm sort of going from 1 to 12 to preferring the minus. In fact, what I'll probably do is end up having a Leinster points bet, because I'm watching in a pub with about 3 Leinster supporters. It's one family, but they're all big Leinster supporters. So I think I'm going to be, I want to be shouting home Leinster, and I think I might go for possibly a Leinster's overs play or something along those lines. Yeah. Let's just see if there's anything else from the boys here. There's quite a bit of injury news there in the live chat, so certainly guys will have a look at those team selections. But that brings us to the end of that. But let's cover, before we get into the best bets, guys, and I'll start with you, the conductor, the Challenge Cup final. We've also got a points line here of 40.5, because that's, I think, is tomorrow night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Lyon plus 5.5 against Toulon. Have you had a look at this one, conductor?
Yeah, I won't be touching that points bet, Brenty. I have Toulon as a big unders team. They just tend to have that more attritional style of play. There again, I may end up with a lot of egg on my face, but I love Toulon in the minus. Yeah, that pack is just monstrous. I love that Brian Ulacey, Etzebeth combo at 4 and 5. That's Serron and Carbonell 9-10. Gabin Villiers at 11, and Cheslin Colby is starting as well. He's recovered from his hand injury. A lot of guys are saying, but he's been out, but he's just he's just box office. So if he just gets a small chance, look, he broke his thumb. He didn't break he didn't hurt his leg. So he's been able to do physical training. I think he's pretty fit. Granted, throwing him into a final, without having played much rugby the last couple of weeks is a bit of a gamble, but for me, he's so influential. I was super impressed with Toulon beating Saracens. You don't just beat that Saracens side willy-nilly, albeit that game was in Toulon. And I haven't been impressed with Lyon much. But, there again, I mean, my knowledge is not much more than surface deep in terms of Lyon. I mean, I can look at guys like Demba Bamba, really good player. Joshua Tursova, the winger for Lyon, actually destructive. But I look at a couple of the other Lyon names, and it just doesn't look like this team sheet is as strong. So I'm all over Toulon minus. Toulon is about 60 kilometers away from Marseille, from the Stade Velodrome, versus close to 350 kilometers away from Lyon. So I expect a far bigger support here for Toulon. From what I understand, the whole season they've targeted this competition to win. That pack is just very, very scary. Charles Olivant is just an incredible tackler. I think he's one of the highest tackling stats in this comp. So, all signs point for a very attritional win, but I expect Toulon to cover this cap.
Right, Chris, are you rubber stamping that?
Yeah, I'm not going to be on the cap, but this is another 1 to 12. Surprise, surprise. I'm really eyeing out a Leinster 1 to 12, Toulon 1 to 12 double. Put in a few stakes on that. It's going to be my French, Leinster, Irish, but Irish 1 to 12, Toulon 1 to 12. French Euro final double, Euros double.
Just having a bit of a laugh here in the live chat. Mark saying, when Leinster win 5-star, I'll send you a Leinster jersey. I said, make it a triple XL. So he said, triple XL, you'd have to be about 6'6" and 125. So I said, well, I'm not far away, 6'3" and about 122 at the moment. So yeah, but I must say, a mate of mine's got a Leinster jersey. What amazed me about it was how thick it's a really thick jersey, I suppose, for the European winters. And he was saying to me, he reckons sometimes when the guys come here, their jerseys are actually a lot thicker, and they really battle in the heat of South Africa. And I think it was against the Lions, I think, where the Munster team faded out quite badly. But anyway, gents, that brings us to the end of the show. Just a reminder, the newsletter will probably go out tomorrow or Saturday. We bounced back to form last week. I know Chris was quite firmly on Leicester minus 10.5, I think it was. Chris, we took them last week. So we had a nice win on the show last week, and also on the newsletter, which I needed a bounce back after that Bulls bet the week before. That will go out. There's a link down below the show if you want to have a look at that. But let's get the panel's best bets and see where the money's going. Chris, we'll start with you. Your best bets for the weekend.
I'll be honest, Brent, it's a bit of a tough one on the best bet front, but I'll give you my top ones, my best ones for now. Certainly love the Brumbies minus some points, love the Tars points, and love the Force points. Those are my three. I know they're not out yet, but those are my three main bets I'll be looking at this weekend. Also like the Chiefs to cover a lot. So those will be my main ones that I'm looking at this point in time. Tomorrow, no strong fantasy, but again, Fred's overs as well. I think overs all weekend. I think when they come out, I'll definitely be more chubby vocal on Twitter what I think my favorites are. But just to reiterate, love the Brumbies, Tars, and Force points.
Well, I'll quickly take the best bets on it. So you can see his Twitter address there at the Crow Tips, and wait for those points. And I know I'll do the same thing with the newsletter sometimes. You want to wait for that bet that you really, really like, and quite often it is a points line. Right, conductor, what you got for us?
Yeah, Brent, my best bet by far is the Brumbies minus. So my key aim for the weekend is don't do anything stupid before that game, because I know myself get stuck into the pale ales tomorrow afternoon. Get home, try and absolutely slaughter the Lyon Toulon game, lose, and have to wake up on Saturday morning just to recoup my losses on the one bet that I really fancied. So probably put myself into a self-induced coma and they wake me up just before the Brumbies game, so I can chuck money on that. I think Brumbies dominate that game, and I agree with Chris. Waratahs overs. I think I don't trust them fully to cover that cap, but I think it'll be a good fun game. And good to look at some overs in other games. I agree. I think there could be some nice overs in the Force game. Hopefully in Christchurch tomorrow morning, the Crusaders put on a bit of display and have a bit of fun with Will Jordan scoring about 8 tries to cover the overs by himself. So it should be hopefully a good weekend. And let's pump the bookies.
Excellent, gents. Thanks very much for the show. Thanks to the guys in the live chat as well. Mark probably going back off to bed. Conductor, to yourself, have a great weekend there. A good couple of tafels going down, I'm sure. And likewise to you, Chris. Have a good one. And we'll see you boys. Yeah. Sorry, I thought Chris was coming up with another bet there.
No. Bet it out.
But excellent. We'll see you guys and all of the guys in the live chat next week for the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah, have a good one.